Hey, Composing Gloves here, and today we're going to be doing an exercise with some of our diatonic knowledge now, specifically on diatonic triads. We'll add sevens in the next video, the ones that are really important anyways, because for the large part, you're going to be working with triads, so we want to get strong with these. Couple notes, MuseScore doesn't let me hide staves the way I would like, so there's like this random SATB stave that I'm using over here for an exercise, but over here, it's just sort of here, so yeah. Sorry about that, just ignore it. And then also, these are just ghost notes so that this does not hide. So these notes do not count. They're just there to make sure the staff appears. So just don't worry about these ghost notes either. But in order to change them, you're gonna need the inspector panel open. So you could drag them around, they'd stay invisible. But what you do is you go to view and just turn on the inspector panel. It's right here, or you could hit F8. And then what you do is you click on the note and it has a visible tab under the elements, and you can make that visible or invisible and it brings the note back. So just some housekeeping items. So okay, let's talk about this exercise, and then we will go ahead and move over to, actually on this one I'm going to show you the answers to some of this in the next video, because I want to cover this one with you in person. So here we have diatonic triads. Given the key in Roman numeral, write the chord. So pretty standard exercise, one that's, I think, a very good exercise, because you have to think in a key. You have to think, is it major or minor? And so you see I just have major or minor here, and so you might be going, well, which minor scale? Well, I didn't specify. So it automatically means whenever someone doesn't specify, you always go to whatever the key signature says, because it's the key signature. It's like the law of this particular part of the song for the key. So we look at the key and I say, okay, well here I said minor. We've got one sharp. And well, you think of that and it's E minor. But if you didn't think that, maybe you knew it was G major instead. Well, you could think a major 6 up or a minor 3rd down. So I go G, a minor 3rd down, or a major 6 up would be an E. And that's the E natural minor scale. And so we say, okay, E natural minor. Now in the E natural minor scale, I have a 3 chord. I'm going to do the first one for you. You can do the others. So a 3 chord in E natural minor. Well, I think, okay, well, it would be E, F sharp, G. And so I'm saying, it's got to be G. And it would be a major chord, and that makes sense because we're in the natural minor scale. So I say, all right, and I notice it's in first inversion. So at this point, if you feel overwhelmed, maybe you somehow wound up on this video or you've been chugging through the series, go back, do some of the exercises. You really want to be strong at this if you can't follow what I'm saying reasonably fast. So anyways, G major, first inversion. First inversion means the thirds in the bass, right? So if we think of the G major chord, it'd be G, B, D, and the third, therefore, is the B. And so we need a B in the bass. So let's do that. Let's go right here. Now here, I want you to do your chords across the staff, but I don't care if you include all 4 parts or how you double it. Like if you put 2 roots or 2/3 or 2/5. I don't care. Just make sure you've got some notes on both clefs that form the chord. So here we want a B in the bass. I'm going to go ahead, put a B there. And then we also need an, what are we on? We're making a G chord. We need a D, and then we need a G. So I'll put the G down here. And that's it. Now you could add a 4th note if you're thinking ahead about 4-part writing and stuff, but we haven't talked about that yet. So this is fine for now. So that would be our answer. It'd be a G major chord in first inversion. There are other answers than this one. Maybe you decided to put all 3 notes on this one clef. You could do that and it'd be right. But for now, I really want you to be doing this. But I wouldn't mark you down because you got it right. So as long as it's the correct inversion and the correct chord, I don't care. So, okay. So you're going to do that for these. Cool, fun exercise. Down here, we have some questions. These questions are always good questions because they make you think and make you aware of things I may have not pointed out in enough detail or that require a little bit of personal thought to really attach to the concept. So like which chords are diatonically major in a major key? So you got to think, oh, well, jank, I got to have that memorized to do that, or you got to go look it up. So you got to know that. Minor key, which ones are major in a minor key, diatonically speaking. So going to put those there. What diatonic chords are shared between major and minor? This is like so important because if you know that, you can begin to mix chords and I've seen some people call them like chord groups and other things where I'm just like, that's just called, you're just borrowing chords. We'll be talking about it more in the future. So then we say, why do we have so many diatonic chords in the minor mode? That should be very clear if you watched the last video. Okay, so this exercise, now my example, if you're looking at the answer sheet, is kind of crazy. So, but the point is, I want you to write a melody and create some sort of harmony for it. It could be whole notes for all I care. I don't care. But the point is, I want you to do a raised or lowered sixes and sevens. I want you to use these parts of the scale and create a melody, and I want you to label them. So I want you to get familiar with this because they're cool sounds. And right now we haven't talked about any of the rules of melodic writing, so go crazy. So yeah, always resolve, except for this rule, always resolve with stepwise motion. That's my only caveat to this. So if you use a sharp 7, you better be resolving stepwise to the 8, so on and so forth. And then up here, I have an example from Bach, and all you have to do is analyze it with Roman numerals and bass positions. Go ahead, go crazy, just analyze it. Now this is valuable because we have 4 voices. You're gonna see stuff like this all the time. And this clef right here is an octave lower because it's got an 8 below. I don't know what the official name for this is, but it's a treble clef with an 8 below it, so that means it's an octave lower. If the 8 was on top, it'd actually be an octave higher. So that's the tenor, so that makes sense. So that is what the 8 below the clef means. And then this is just valuable because I need you to get used to reading cross staves, seeing things separated out. There is a harmonic structure, and we're going to learn how to construct things like this. They're a very good example. And you'll also notice it sounds quite undone at the end. And so when you do your analysis, you'll be able to perhaps indicate why it sounds so not done. It also sounds rather sudden. So I'm going to I want you to do this. You've got to figure out what the key is on this before you can analyze it. So figure out what the key is. And I'm going to I really want you to give a go at it because in the answers I'm going to cover, I'm going to tell you what the key is and sort of spoil it. So please give it a real solid go before we move on to the next video. And the same with all these questions. These ones I'm probably just going to skip because they're text questions. You can go read those. But I want to show you my example of this just to give you an idea of like some additional things I did. I feel like it'd just be helpful to see more examples. If you have any questions about this stuff, let me know. Subscribe, support me on Patreon, and have a blessed day.